Hi, my name is Nikki Davis.
I'm Martha Holland.
I'm Kimberly Shen.
I'm Tobias Kronstrom.
I'm Sue-Ann Bond.
I'm Kevin Melgar.
I'm Bondaria Knight.
We are Group 13, and we're going to talk to you about ecotourism today.
In the last several years, the words sustainability and eco-friendly have become very relevant in every aspect regarding what we as humans do every day. As the Earth begins to illustrate the effects of global warming, pollution, and the destruction of the Earth's limited resources, the drive to be aware of our mistakes and create a change have been emerging in every industry, and with this comes ecotourism. In order to talk about ecotourism, we have to understand what is ecotourism. According to the International Ecotourism Society, or TIES, ecotourism is defined as responsible travel to natural areas that conserves the environment, sustains the well-being of local people, and involves interpretation and education. Tourism should also provide direct financial benefits for conservation and local people, and is also focused on the conservation of natural resources. This differs from sustainable tourism in that sustainable tourism refers to finding a way that tourism can be maintained long-term without harming natural and cultural environments outside of just natural areas.
The positive impacts of ecotourism are that it provides the opportunity for not only environmentalists, but also tourists to learn more about the ecosystems, biology, and geology of a specific location. Knowing the components of an ecosystem can lead to better understanding of how to conserve different species and natural formations. It also provides an impactful first-hand experience about sustainable living and eco-friendly practices. When people spend money on ecotourism, some of it goes towards conservation efforts like deforestation and endangered species of repopulation projects. It also creates jobs for locals and provides sustainable economic growth for developing countries. The multiplier effect is applied in that situation.
There are many positive effects of tourism, however, there are also many downsides, which we will now discuss.
In Cuba, building new hotels, restaurants, and other tourist infrastructures has forced local and indigenous people to move away from their homeland. Traffic congestions from airplanes, cruise ships, and vehicles is very common when tourists travel to Cuba. However, this causes major pollution to our ecosystem. When Cuba increases the amount of people present for a period of time, it results in them overusing their resources in order to satisfy their tourists.
In Dubai, it has been a concern of theirs that the cultural differences between Westerners and Dubai locals has posed a large problem for locals, and that the preservation of their cultural and religious norms have been threatened. Customs that have been accepted and adopted by Western culture have been introduced to and accommodated by the city of Dubai for tourism purposes. There are concerns by local conservatives that Dubai and the surrounding areas risk losing their Muslim cultural identity as a result of the accommodation of tourists. For example, laws that prohibit wearing clothes that bear too much skin, public displays of affection between men and women, eating or drinking during the day during Ramadan, or even non-natives from engaging in altercations with locals are rarely ever carried out due to millions of tourists that pass through Dubai. Another example of a negative impact in Dubai would be sex tourism. Many high-profile tourists and locals in Dubai are guilty of arranging dates with local and foreign sex workers. The luxurious and limitless kind of lifestyle that Dubai has portrayed and offered to tourists has attracted high-profile clientele from around the world. Sex workers that seek to be a part of lucrative business, and some that are forced to travel to Dubai either on their own accord or under the control of pimps. Prostitution in Dubai has been turned a blind eye to by local officials in order to keep tourism alive, because tourism is a source of pride for Dubai as it has garnered a lot of economic success for them. For local and surrounding residents, sex tourism threatens both their Muslim customs and potentially their health. Local residents are at a higher risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases as a result of sex tourism. An environmental issue that Paris has faced as a result of tourism is pollution. Pollution levels in Paris are at a 10-year high. This has prompted Mayor Anne Hidalgo to promise an end to diesel vehicles by 2020 and offer cash incentives for taxi and van drivers who switch to electric vehicles. There's also talk of a pioneering plan to provide free public transport to encourage commuters out of their cars.
A destination example for ecotourism is a carbon-neutral island in Sweden, Lida. The island is tourist-friendly. The carbon neutrality was made possible by a company called Neste, an oil refining and marketing company. Zero vacation plans are offered, so there are minimal emissions produced during a visit. It took the island only 1 year to achieve this status in the summer of 2019.
Okay.
This is a sample of the goal Sweden is aiming to achieve climate neutral by 2045. Annual carbon emissions were decreased from 180 tons to 40 tons, a whopping 78%, thanks to the implementations of 18 different solutions. Some of these solutions include renewable fuel and energy using biogas to cook, and recycling and reusing essentially everything on the island. Food waste is used as compost for the potato farm, and there's a sustainable low-emission menu for a fine dining experience. Starting next summer, the first climate-neutral wedding is planned to be held on Lida as well. Guests get to experience a climate-neutral living in NOLA cabins. Staying at the cabins will include a breakfast buffet from the Zero menu. Food offered on the island is locally produced, and biodynamic wine is also available for purchase. The island also offers guest houses, cabins, and various types of rooms to accommodate for a stay. These accommodations use solar-powered electricity from solar panels and climate curtains to further achieve energy efficiency. Activities on the island include saunas, hot tubs, swimming and sunbathing. You can also rent a kayak to kayak around the island. You can explore the woods and scenery and go on different marked trails. Another destination example is the Maldives, a country that sustains on ecotourism. They have a goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2020, which is right on the corner. Many resorts play a role in ecotourism. Locals own and operate these resorts. They generate their own electricity and water supply with desalination plants and water sewage treatments. Many costs go towards nature and wildlife preservation. There are many government regulations in place that protect the environment, but that does not stop tourists from having an amazing time on the islands.
Another example of ecotourism is the country of Palau. Palau is made up of 500 islands, many of which are still untouched, and is part of the Micronesia region between the Philippines and Papua New Guinea. Palau is known for its unique dive spots and shark diving. The livelihood and culture is so heavily connected to the sea that are constantly working on their conservation efforts. In order to protect the species of sharks, they created the Shark Sanctuary. The country is also determined to protect the ocean that surrounds them, that in early 2014, Palau declared an area the size of France a non-commercial fishing zone. By doing this, the biggest marine sanctuary in the world was created. They are equally determined to punish those who will refuse to abide by the no commercial fishing zone by seizing boats, stripping them of their fishing gear and cargo, and fining the captains. Realizing that some would still take the chance, they went as far as setting unmanned boats on fire for the poachers to realize that they are not playing around. The country has also made bottom trawling illegal, which is the use of giant nets on the seafloor that destroys everything in the path. The president of Palau stated, "Palau is working with our military, diplomacy, and NGO partners from around the world to get tough on illegal fishers and protect our food security. When the Palau National Marine Sanctuary becomes law, it will be even easier to defer, detect, and indict pirate fishing." Another positive from the ecotourism efforts is the creation of the Palau Project. The project is part of the Blue Planet United, and they bring university students to the country to learn more about ecotourism and how to spread awareness. Palau has other ecotourism attractions such as sea kayaking and Boundrula Chow Stone Monoliths, which is considered the Easter island of Micronesia.
In recent years, the small island nation of Iceland has become a popular destination for ecotourists looking for a unique tourism and nature experience. The uniqueness of Iceland is undeniable. The landscape is dominated by glaciers, mountains, and geysers. The drastic increase in tourists coming to Iceland has done wonders for the economy, but it also poses a threat both to the environment and the quality of the experience for visitors. When discussing ecotourism in Iceland, Anna Sæthursdóttir of the University of Iceland defines tourism capacity as the amount of visitors an area can tolerate without altering the physical environment or negatively affecting the tourism experience. In regard to tourism in Iceland, research conducted at the University of Iceland showed that certain tourists are less tolerant to developed infrastructure around natural sites than others. This means that while building highways through the landscape might not pose a threat to the environment or the ecosystem, it may detract from the experience for a lot of visitors. As such, Iceland has strived to segmenting the tourism market in a way that satisfies the growing number of visitors. This means that certain areas of Iceland, such as the lowlands around the capital of Reykjavik, have more developed infrastructure and are able to cater to larger amounts of tourists. This is in contrast to the highland areas, which are less developed and catering to tourists who put a greater value in pristine nature experience.
Yeah.
In conclusion, pristine and untouched nature is a finite resource. While Iceland may have enough nature to go around right now, that might not always be the case. As the demand grows larger and the number of visitors rises, Iceland will find it harder and harder to avoid developing infrastructure that some visitors might see as eyesores to an otherwise beautiful landscape.